The Universal Language of Failure. I'm Jason Horton.
I'm Rebecca Lieb.
And this is Ghost Town.
Religious Malome. Same Kielanta Stormo. Semine Vidis Nuvoin.
Estes eclipso.
Veninium Vidis Unu.
In regardum gin. Viae pupilloe malformiges. Caela flagro blulo viae nucleonem.
Trace the signal.
De Kievi signitus.
Trace the Seguro. De Mora. De Malbona.
So that was a clip from one of the feature-length films that was written and performed entirely in Esperanto, the universal language. Or was it? So
I'm going to say it wasn't based on... I'm going to say it wasn't.
Just it being a Friday fail? Yeah, perhaps. There were 4 feature-length movies that were made in Esperanto. So it's like it almost had this running start through some of modern history, but ultimately, you know, we all...
I guess there wasn't enough languages out there.
There's just not enough. They're just not enough. We needed one more, and we needed to shoehorn it into all of our consciousness to create some kind of world peace. But that's...
Initially, it sounds like Italian to me. If I take a first guess, it sounded like Italian.
It does. It sounds somewhat European, but also kind of like, and this might be controversial, but the speaking in tongues kind of a thing. It's like a little like satanic or religious Italian lilt. Not satanic, but like it had that flavor to it, which I also
strange
enjoyed.
Church meets romance language.
Yeah, ooh, I'd not go to that class in college for sure. But languages are developed over thousands of years. They evolve based on conditioning, human needs, etc., etc. Back in 1887, a Jewish optometrist named Dr. L.L. Zamenhof said, "No, I veto that," and created a language in about 6 months or so. Zamenhof had very high hopes for his new language. The name of the language itself, Esperanto, is derived from the word hope and is translated as the one who hopes. While the construction of his language is pretty easy compared to most languages, his goal was lofty. Through Esperanto, he wanted to bring humanity together once and for all through the gift of communication. Okay, I'm on board, but you can't just do that. Zamenhof was a Jew who grew up in what was then the Russian Empire. His society was deeply divided along ethnic and religious lines: Germanic, Polish, Jewish, Russian. Zamenhof concluded that the diversity of languages is the first of at least the most influential basis for the separation of the human family into groups of enemies. So he had good intentions, for sure. He loved languages. He spoke German, Russian, Yiddish, Polish, some Latin, English, Italian. Even in medical school, like I said, he was an optometrist. He had a passion for unifying people through language. Soon, Zamenhof published the first Esperanto grammar book, the Lingvo Internacia, or the International Language, which was nicknamed Unua Libro, the first book, under the very evil-sounding pseudonym Doctoro Esperanto. So he didn't even want to use his own name. He was already distancing himself. But as you know, I love a moniker, and Doctoro, Doktoro, Esperanto is, love it. Zamenhof had 3 goals, as he wrote in Unua Libro. Number 1, to render the study of the language so easy as to make its acquisition mere play to the learner. Not sure that happened. Languages are hard, especially this one. 2, enable the learner to make direct use of his knowledge with people of any nationality, whether the language be universally accepted or not. In other words, the language is to be directly a means of international communication. Oh, you mean like languages? Like how they function already? 3, to find some means of overcoming the natural indifference of mankind and disposing them in the quickest manner possible and en masse to learn and use the proposed language as a living one, and not only in the last extremities and with the key at hand. You lost me. I don't know what that means. It devolved into metaphor. Very, very lofty. We'll see how it goes. So for a while it was pretty exciting. Thousands of groups formed throughout Europe, North America, and other parts of the world, groups of Esperantists studying the Unua Libro. In fact, neutral Morsnet, which is a very small principality between Belgium and Germany, almost became the first country to adopt Esperanto as its official language, seeing Esperanto as a way to be neutral between its German and French inhabitants. Okay. But then World War I and II really took it down a notch. Fortunately, Zamenhof did not live to see the disaster, the Holocaust. He passed away in 1917 at the age of 57. His kids, however, were put to death. His son was also a doctor and was removed from his position and shot. His daughters died in concentration camps. Pretty sad. Neutral Montserrat was invaded by the Germans, and after the war it was annexed by Belgium and France, ending its independence and social experiment with Esperanto. In the 1920s, there was a short revival to make it the official language of the League of Nations, but the proposal was shot down pretty quickly by France. Soviet Russia also promoted it for a time and said that Stalin actually studied the language. That's kind of interesting.
Very open-minded of him.
He's a real free thinker. But when Hitler came to power, Esperantists were some of the first people who were rounded up and killed. But it did find a life in the concentration camps of World War II. To hide their activities, the inhabitants told the guards that they were teaching Italian, since the two languages, as we know, kind of sound similar. That's something. Esperanto. In Soviet Russia, Stalin had begun persecuting Esperanto speakers as well. In an ironic twist, Zamenhof's peaceful language was used by the United States Army as the fictitious language of a mock opponent during Army training maneuvers. So it has these, strange, different other uses that, again, we didn't really conceive of or Zamenhof didn't conceive of either, and not unifying ways. These are all fractured ways that his language has caused many people to have their lives change and to suffer. Now about 2 million people worldwide still speak Esperanto, a far cry from a globally unifying language, but it does culturally live on. William Auld, who received the first nomination for the Nobel Prize in Literature, was for a literary work in Esperanto in 1999, followed by 2 more in 2004 and 2006. There are, like I said, 4 feature films written entirely in Esperanto, including Angaroe, The Agonies, Incubus, Gerda Malparis, Gerda Disappeared. That was in 2006. At La Petro, The Father, in 2007. And the clip from the beginning is from Incubus. And what I love is that Esperanto may not completely live on here, but it was included in Voyager's Golden Record, sent out to greet extraterrestrials. So that's an exciting thing, and that is definitely a way that, hey, who knows who would get a hold of Esperanto and use it for their own aims. If you want to learn Esperanto, it is on Duolingo and Google Translate.
It's interesting that they found uses for it so recently to make whole movies on it, which is an interesting, marketing-wise at least, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Also the commitment, again, to making these, it's already so hard to make a movie, but to make it in a language that no one really cares about, how ambitious is that?
And when you're making the movie, so the movie's in Esperanto, but everyone's hey, where's lunch?
Yeah.
Or whatever language their native language they're speaking in.
Do you think William Shatner got the script for this and he opened it up and he was like, what the fuck is this?
And then I'll do it. There's another, I don't know, it's not a full language, but it is a form of communication that I was really kind of obsessed with called Polari. You know Polari?
I've never heard of that.
It's from Italian. I think that's why I made Italian on the brain. And, or it was used in, for the word Polari is Italian, but it was used in England by actors, circus showmen, professional wrestlers, merchant sailors. And I'm just reading this off of Wikipedia because I just thought of it just now. So whatever, deal with it. And most notably the gay subculture when they were communicating and, it was very criminal.
Yeah.
And how I initially found it is Morrissey. You know who's Morrissey?
Yeah. Am I familiar with Morrissey?
I'm very familiar with Morrissey, and some of his song titles and his songs reference Polari or are Polari.
Whoa.
So if you, I think the word drag, from
is
what I remember,
Polari?
is Polari, yeah. Because what is drag?
Take that, Esperanto.
Yeah, so that's Bona, it was good maybe. I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at this. Maybe we'll do an episode on this.
Yeah.
In fact, we will. So this is a little preview.
Ooh.
Because it's got me really interested. It's interesting language is subversive or just trying to make it worldwide. Whereas Polari, they were trying to make it, they didn't want everyone knowing about it because they didn't want to know about what was going on that was considered criminal or
it's like the opposite.
Expressing. Yes, it was a little bit of the opposite. But I spent a lot of time looking up what Polari was because I was like, what is Polari?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's also, it's interesting, like a manufactured language. Language is such an organic part of our culture and like develops very slowly over lots of different changes and, groups and whatever. But when people are like, let's just make it like Klingon. I always think about Klingon too. And like that, there's like that one Klingon tape that like most dudes in their 30s and 40s have. And I'm like, that they just made that language for Star Trek.
And I think what is it not? What is it? It's not Lord of the Rings. Whatever they're speaking.
What's their language?
Middle Earth. Elven, maybe.
Elvish.
So it's interesting and then just slang in general, like words that you're like, this never meant anything before, and then it means something.
Yeah. Or just like, it's also like a slutty, the word for like, like thought.
Oh,
Thoughty.
Yeah.
Where I was like, because I'm old, and I was like, what does that mean?
Does it mean that hoe over there? I think
it's kind of like, but also like, it was.
So I didn't make that up. That's just.
You didn't make that up.
No,
you did not make that
I'm
up.
on TikTok. Actually, we're on TikTok.
We are on TikTok, Ghost Town Pod.
Yes.
Right? It's very fun. But like that was just created not because the word meant anything, but it was just like a word to not seem like the word it was trying to be.
Yeah.
Or synonym of. Words are fun. Yeah. Words are interesting, and I butcher them a lot.
We invented a word. Podcast. We are the first people to have one.
I thought you were going to say Patreon.
No, I wasn't going to say patreon.com/ghosttownpod. We did not invent that, but podcast we definitely invented.
We are mere servants to the Patreon, but podcast is ours. How dare you take it from us?
Hello, and welcome to Nothing Ever Happens in Canada, and I'm Canadian Girl. Do you like adventures, myths, legends, and learning about some of Canada's greatest moments in history? Well, then this is the podcast for you. Join me every 2 weeks as we travel around Canada, exploring things like mermaids, giants, lost gold mines, and we even stop once in a while to observe historical events and people. Come on over to the channel and join the crew by hitting that subscribe button today. You don't want to miss out on our next adventure.